This is Toast Training. Issues with payment, wrong, and also wrong tab processed. This will be under operations, Toast, normal operations, training number 7. So I actually just kind of figured this one out. Something that came up recently. There's some of this that we think we all kind of already knew or we've been through before, but I'm quite excited about what this lets you do. I've got 2 tabs here. Okay. They're 2 different items. They're both under my credit card, both pre-authorized. None of that's important. But one of the number one issues I've seen with processing tabs is people processing the wrong tab or like flat out processing the wrong table. So number one, let me just reiterate that I do have an expectation that you are knowing the table numbers. That's something that we all need to be working towards. Number 2, in terms of taking orders, I didn't talk about it before, but this is really going to be maybe more in-person training. I'm not sure yet, but I start to memorize people's names. Maybe that's just something I can do. I don't know, but I get in the habit of calling people by their name whenever they are ordering something. And that helps me recognize and ensure that I'm putting the beer on the right tab or that I'm closing out the right tab. Don't be ashamed of asking for their name, all right? It's gonna come with time. Great customer service is the fact that you would remember everybody's name. I've also found that freaks some people out, especially when their credit card comes up and it's like their name is like Jason Paul Peter. And you're like, well, shit. Like, which one is your last name? Which one's your middle name? Which one's your first name? And I made that mistake this weekend, and everybody just kind of at the table laughs and think it's funny. And then it becomes a discussion point about that's your middle name. So don't be ashamed about asking or admitting that you made a mistake. There's nothing wrong with that. Great customer service is not about not making mistakes. It's about what you do the minute, or the second you make a mistake, what do you do about it? Letting it linger and doing nothing is the exact opposite of what we should be doing. We will make mistakes. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just if you can react in a positive way and correct it, that's great customer service. There's multiple levels of customer service, but shit happens. Just move on, correct it, and make sure they're happy, even if you have to comp something for them. So sorry for the ramble there. I think the rest of this will be pretty straightforward. Simple enough. If the first one is issue with payment. So this one is often where people maybe move too fast and they didn't want to use the Save credit card, but they said they did. When you get to this screen, there is no going back. It's not possible. Okay, I'm just doing no tips so that in case this goes through, I get charged less money. Okay, there's nothing that you can do. You have to finish this. Okay, payment complete. Thank you, and then it brings you right back to the screen. If it's this person who just paid, what you can do is you click on the payment and you void it. But I want to show you a couple other ways of getting back there. So now you're under closed, so you would hit pay. It would bring you, and then the payment is selected, and you can void it. There's been some funky stuff as well where like it'll show a balance of a negative number, and basically what happens is you get like a couple tabs in a table and a beer gets added to the wrong tab, and so the closed tab recognizes that you have then added something to their tab, or in some cases it's like a discount took hold and it took off $3 and it wasn't supposed to. And all you have to do is go find that item and basically move it off the tab, and it fixes everything. It won't tell you the problem, but when the numbers stack up perfectly, when it's like an exact, very specific number, you can kind of figure out what's going on. So in this case, this person did not want to use that. We're going to go ahead and void that payment. Nothing is actually ever paid until I run the batch at the end of the night, or the owner on duty, or whoever runs the batch at the end of the night. I'm doing no receipt right now. If you ever voided anything, please print a receipt and give them the void for that receipt. That's the appropriate thing to do. Okay, it still says closed. There's no payment. That's bullshit up there. You're just going to hit done, and I'm going to go back in. and it is now open. Now, the only thing here is that once you have voided that payment, you've also lost pre-authorization. Just an FYI, you will need to take a credit card in order to get this. If it was floating out there as well and you thought you had made a mistake, the other place you can go with payment, you go to payment terminal here, open, paid, and you'd find it in here, or you'd find it, if it was a digital, you'd find it in closed. And you would need to go through and basically, so if we go to closed and we chose one like this one, you'd come down here and you'd hit pay at the bottom, and you'd void that person's payment. And then what it would do is it would actually move it back to the open checks. That's how it would work. So if we're back in table service, we're back on 303. Here's another interesting thing that has come up, and this is wrong tab process. This happens too often. I understand it can happen, but my expectation is that you get in the habit of saying the person's last name before you close the tab. I have done it multiple times where I've been on the wrong table and I've said the name and they said, nope, that's not it. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong table. It's just simple steps. It doesn't say anything about how you work, or it's okay if you don't remember the person's name. Just get in the habit of verifying that you are closing the right tab name. And even with me, like repeating the person's name constantly whenever they order, that is a great thing. Like if you can really learn their name and really remember their names at the table, they are going to love that. I would say for the most part. When they come back in the next day, shit, I can never freaking remember their name, but that's something else I'm working on. So I'm going to go ahead and pay this, right? Assuming that I was paying the right card. And this is a little bit better if like somebody gave me a credit card, or if it was cash and I processed the wrong tab, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and do save credit card. I'm going to do no tip again, and I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to do no receipt. And then it's like, oh shit, I processed the wrong one. Well, this is something cool I saw when I was helping somebody else out. Let's hit adjust. Here at the bottom, it says move payment to a different check, okay? Boom. I had it memorized as 56, I believe. I hope I don't screw this shit up. Yeah, that's going to be my fault. Sorry. I had this working before, but then I reopened the order. It became 58. Okay, 58 and 59. So pay, it's the wrong one. We're going to adjust it. We're going to move payment to a different check. I type in 58 and go. And now guess what? This one's not paid anymore. It's now reopened and there's no payment on it. What has been paid for an amount of $5.35 is this check. Well, it should have been paid for $21.40. So there's a balance due of $16.05. You know what? No problem. Adjust total amount. Well, what do I want to adjust? Hit this balance due, hit that gray box. It updates it for a total of $21.40. Update. Payment was originally yada, yada, yada. Please note when this payment is captured, the cardholder, yes, no problem. Adjust the amount. Boom. Balance due, 0. And then close. So if you have a tab issue, you charge the wrong tab, you have to know the check number you're going to. You could search it. So you could go in and like search for a table if that's what you wanted to do. But it takes a little bit of doing, but it is doable. Like you can fix anything until I batch out at the end of the night. And then after that, I can fix somebody who was overcharged, but I can't unfix something that wasn't, or excuse me, if someone was undercharged, I mean, and you close it out, that's kind of the end of it. I'm not going to go after that person. It's kind of a hard thing to prove. They were given a bill. They were told what they owed. Cash is a difficult one. If you move a cash payment to another tab and they haven't paid enough, you have to go back to the table and ask them for more money, and that can be very difficult to do. So the best thing I can tell you is avoid doing that and just make sure you're closing out the right tab when it happens. And it's almost like a double check thing, okay? I have seen it where I was on the right tab and I went to close it out, like this one here, and I went to close it out, or I said pay on the screen and I'm sitting on this tab and I hit pay and it did it right there. That's perfect. This is just complete fucking bullshit and it drives me crazy. I'm going to pay, hit pay, boom. What does it do? It brings me to the freaking tab that was already closed. I can't tell you why it does that. I haven't seen that every single time, but you do need to be diligent in the payment process. Don't rely on the system completely to do what you think it's going to do. I honestly don't, man, I really don't know why it does that. It's very infuriating. But it might be because I'm just playing with all these different ones and I'm making it confusing, but there, it finally worked. I have no idea. I'm so happy it happened right now, but you really, really, really have to pay attention. So double check the name of the tab. Like, my name is John Smith and I'd like to close my tab out. And so you're going to go into the order and you're going to swipe until you find John Smith. Then you hit pay. Make sure you're closing out John Smith again. You have to double check. Don't assume that this system is working correctly.